launch of the stem cell transplant in the United States was actually kind of linked to the presidency of President Bush, who suddenly in the year 2001, as one of the first declarations of his presidency, said, I shall provide financing for stem cell research, federal financing, okay. And so at the beginning there was a lot of action here. In August of 2001, the National Institute of Health launched a big activity. They published a book about the subject, and it was all over the television and so on and so forth. Everybody was preparing for the big activity in the United States. Regretfully, then comes 9/11, 2001, and total silence thereafter. There was not a single word from President Bush or anybody else about stem cell transplantation. And as you remember, he was standardly blocking any possibility to pass any law through Congress dealing with stem cell research. So stem cell research was born, and at the same time died. But the publications from the United States kept on coming out. They were not talking about anything smart or anything really truly provable. But it was happening all the time, and the world to this date is convinced that you have to use embryonic stem cell transplantation, and must use human embryonic stem cell transplantation. You must realize that when you speak about the world, you cannot blame the people outside of Europe, because Asian continent in its entirety has never heard of such a thing as stem cell transplantation or cell transplantation or cell therapy. I have to be state that in the year 2006, I was the first physician that actually lectured in the entire Asia about this subject. And I was the first lecturer, and I had multiple lectures in India, China, including Hong Kong, Macau, Taiwan, Indonesia, Thailand, Australia, Kuwait. And so in other words, I am a rather big celebrity in Asia. But in terms of I don't want to. I never said what I'm going to say today. But the truth of the matter is that I was always facing the probably silly questions from the audience that were asking me the issues which I did not agree with. And I had a very hard time always to kind of cover it up that there is a discrepancy of opinion of mine and the entire U.S. medical science field. But then in this year, a new campaign started in the U.S. media under the title of "Stem cell transplantation is a hoax of 21st century." The question is, I don't know who suddenly came to this was able to commit such a tremendous funds, spread this word around that, that suddenly, which was American discovery, 12 years later is declared hoax of the 21st century. To me, it very much sounds like the same group that launched the stem cell transplantation the story in the year 2000, and who was also maybe responsible for the ban of the German cell therapy in 1956. The fraud, however, in the meantime, has reached such a proportion that in the last 3-4 months, and you can check this out on the internet, US FDA suddenly stepped in and put a stop to this fraud. Because, you see, among these various forms of cell therapy which fraudulently became spread throughout the world, was such a thing as adult autologous stem cell transplantation. Meaning taking cells from patients' own body, processing it, and then reimplanting it. And this was supposed to be like the future, future of this therapeutic method. Regretfully, everything is beautiful about it. It works, can be done, has been done, but it doesn't do anything. It has no therapeutic effect. So and since so many clinics suddenly popped up all over the United States, and offering this treatment for not small sums of money, okay. No, insofar I'm concerned, it was a fraud. Even I say it's a fraud, Now the latest thing was the plastic surgeons in South Korea launched the idea of taking the fatty tissue obtained during liposuction, again processing it in 2.5 hours by some fancy machine, which costs about $100,000 or $150,000, depending where it's coming from. And those cells are now reimplanted because those fatty cells that were extracted from the body suddenly were declared fatty cells, fatty stem cells. which allegedly do everything like a stem cells will do, which of course is a hoax. It absolutely, has never worked, cannot possibly work, as I will explain later. Okay, so the FDA was very quite correct that finally stepped in. The point is that if the situation would not have been very favorable, it would not have ever started. So in other words, somebody kicked it off and now suddenly closed it down. Okay, which both were not very appropriate, points now. And I'm giving here several pointers about the practical advice. Number one, if a physician or salesman shows you a vial with colored water, that vial will not contain any live cells. I guarantee you that. Cells can be seen with naked normal eyes, since they are usually stuck together as clusters. So even you don't need to have magnification just to look at in the vial to see that there is something which looks like cells, inside. Okay. Number two, if somebody shows you a vintage vials covered with dust, and cobwebs, that contains a beige powder. Okay, don't believe that this stuff inside are cells, because the cells don't look like a powder. All right. Number three, if somebody shows you a vial with frozen cells, you must ask a question. How are these frozen cells, how they gotten in there, Were they frozen by a quick freezing, by throwing it, into the freezer with liquid nitrogen? Or is it going to be done like in infertility clinics, when they are freezing, the sperm or the eggs, by so-called computerized freezing, when the freezing is done slowly, step by step, 1 degree of Celsius, per minute or something of that sort. Now, the survival of cells where the computerized freezing is used is minimal. And even worse the situation is if the thawing of those cells before they are used will be done without that computerization. Then, including our testing, only about 5% of those cells will survive, meaning that you are injecting to the patient something which is, dead, dead debris. It cannot be called anything. And as a result of it, number one, there will be no therapeutic effect, and number two, yes, indeed, there will be allergic reactions, because the dead material is, of course, very foreign to our body. And the body has to react like that. Okay, so the frozen cells, is tremendous enigma. Now it is known to us that in Orange County, this happened, a few months ago. A person was sent to Europe to pick up frozen cells, which the only place they are being made are in Germany, and took them through U.S. Customs with the claim that they are nutritional supplements. And the U.S. Customs officer, even after consulting with FDA, he bought it. So these cells, came through, of course. But naturally, by the time these cells actually landed, in Orange County, they were defrosted. You can imagine, what they were. They were rotten, And, one only has to hope that they were not used for an implantation, which entirely possible. The sum of money allegedly which was in that luggage was worth $200,000. It is also another advice to always investigate if you would look into this idea of getting cell transplantation treatment for yourself or for somebody else. What exactly is the method of preparation? I will tell you that there was a time we organized a project in the People's Republic of China by their invitation, and in winter of 2000, I gave many lectures and many all-day-long seminars throughout China, in Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, and many other locations. Of these lectures, one was very important. In the winter of 2007, I lectured in Beijing to a group of truly, Chinese medical elite. Okay, one of the people present there was some high officer of Chinese FDA, who actually, praised me very much, and in the Q&A, portion, because I finally now I understand what the stem cell transplantation is all about. And you just came at the very correct time, because our government just made a decision that they are going to ban stem cell transplantation. Reason? Because they are sick and tired of all the scandals. The scandal after scandal after scandal, and now I see why all the scandal. So I think that I might have been, a historical figure that I prevented the ban to take place. But they did close out many clinics in the hospitals they're practicing it, and straighten out the situation. Okay. Now the man that actually was responsible for inviting me was is retired, very big general, very much important in the modern history of China, and actually was our very first patient in China. Okay, now subsequent to this, I made a suggestion to this big general that how about if we would start to do the preparation of cells in China, okay, rather than bringing them from Europe as we always do. And he said, "Oh no, sir. Our elite would never allow implantation of cells in their bodies if they would be made in China. They would never trust it. You just keep on making them in Europe and bring them in by the courier, to China, and that way it's going to work. We would never trust it." Okay. And needless to say, 1 year earlier, I already made a proposal somewhere else. It was in country of Indonesia. Okay. Indonesia is a very economically strong country. It has 250 million people and so on and so forth. And in Indonesia, we had very many VIP patients from the very first day, and these people told me, "Oh no, you cannot make cells in Indonesia, even if you would make them yourself, because we would not trust it." And this was a group of people who were actually all our patients, all from the VIP elite of the country.